Earlier this fall, I acquired a piece of property just south of my house. This piece of property has been hunted very little over the past probably 10 years that I've lived at this house. The best part about this, and it's kind of a deterrent as well, is it's a lot of cattle pasture, wide open ground with some deep creeks and some finger draws that come off of this property. It is surrounded by about 150 acres of alfalfa fields, and these alfalfa fields usually draw deer from all over. Well, this year I acquired this property right after youth season, so my son wasn't able to actually hunt there during the youth season, but during early season muzzleloader, we got to go out there, and I went out one evening and did some scouting on it, and we were back in there the evening after, and we saw some does, and my son just had a hard time this year. He struggled having bucks come out. It was just weird. I could go out by myself and go scout a new piece of property and see animals, and he just struggled, so felt kind of bad for him, and it wasn't anything that he was doing wrong or what I was doing wrong, but just the way it works sometimes. So
I slipped into this piece of property after work tonight. Walked in here, didn't get sit down for 30 seconds. Look up and there's 6 does and a small buck right in front of me in this little field. They worked right past me. I was gonna shoot one of the does, but I didn't even have time to get the camera set up.
It was the middle of October, and I decided to take a trip behind my house on this piece of property there. And by myself, I took the camera gear, just expecting to go out and do a little bit of long-range scouting. I could see quite a ways through this cut alfalfa field. Just a section of the alfalfa had been cut real short and just baled. So figured if nothing else, just see what was coming out. Lo and behold, a buck comes out about, I want to say 400, 500 yards from me.
By me. Yep, she just jumped the fence and he's chasing her.
And as soon as he got, within a couple hundred yards, I knew I would be more than happy to harvest that animal. But he stopped at 30 yards after a staring match because I really wasn't hidden that well, not really expecting to have an opportunity. So I kind of messed it up myself, but he knew something wasn't right, and at 30 yards I put the pin on him and I turned it loose, and I actually thought I made a really good shot until the deer ran off about 100 yards and stopped and turned around and blew at me. And usually a deer won't blow at you when they're mortally wounded, so I knew I had messed up.
It's November 16th. We got in here this morning, me and a good friend Zac Geith. He's running camera for me this morning. We are on the only strip of timber connecting that little piece with all the other woods to the west of us. There's several other shooter bucks in here, but who knows, the wind's blowing pretty hard this morning, but we're down at the bottom, so it isn't blowing near as hard down here as what it is up top.
Well, Zac and I set up in the tree stand. Told Zac, I said, just play with the camera, have fun, film anything and everything, figure out the camera. So he was. There was a couple times I turned my head and the camera is pointing right at my face. It just kind of shocked me a little bit, but had a really nice 8-point come in, and he was ripping trees and worked all the way down through the creek. And when he come out of the creek on the other side, he was in some brush. Well, Zac, he lost him with the camera, couldn't find him, thought the deer was still in the creek. Well, the deer had come right at us and he couldn't see him. So I look over and the camera's pointing at me and not the deer, and the deer standing at 20 yards. Granted, I would have questioned myself whether I wanted to shoot him, but he was a young 3.5-year-old, so I wasn't too brokenhearted when the deer busted him and took off. So I looked at Zac and said, hey, it's not a big deal, because he was upset with himself. I said, it's not a big deal, but now you know, if a deer does the same thing, you know what they might do, so you won't get caught in that position again.
Well, that was a lot of fun. Not the deer I wanted to shoot, but maybe that just gives us room for a bigger one to come through. That big one that's behind us. Hopefully he comes through.
After about 15 minutes, I looked up and there was the deer I wanted to shoot. He was standing on top of the hill, coming right down the ridge, the same spot that big 8-point did. And I instantly, naked eye from 150 yards, knew that I was gonna want to harvest this deer. He was exceptional. Sure enough, that big deer, he comes in and does the same exact thing as the 8-point did. I mean, to a T, rubs the same trees, goes through the same creek crossing, crosses the same part of the opposite bank, and comes right along the field edge. And this time, Zac didn't skip a beat. He got it all.
He's dead right here. I didn't see him go down, but I just freaking smoked him. Zac, dude.
Man, awesome, dude.
Oh, thank you so much for running camera. Holy crap. That is a stud. What a tank. Awesome Iowa buck. Couldn't be any more happy to be behind this deer. Straight 10-point, beautiful deer. Thank you again, Zac.
After I was able to harvest my buck, shotgun season wasn't too far away, and my son still had his youth tag. We went in, same location, just a different draw that was wooded and on this cattle pasture. And it was a quick hunt. We got up, we had to be home by 10 o'clock in the morning. So we went in light. It was kind of cool that morning, opening day of first season shotgun. And we sat down, and my son was really not into it that much because he'd struggled and worked hard all year long. And lo and behold, a couple does and a really nice young 8-point comes in. And you know, Drake made a great shot.
Man.
You got hit him.
He was ecstatic. The deer didn't go 80 yards and tipped over, and he was so happy, and it just made his season and mine for that matter.
Hey, Mom. Guess what I just shot? Yeah, nice 6-point.
He just seeing the reaction on his face was the best thing I've seen out of him in years. This year was phenomenal. We did a lot of firsts this year. Drake's first deer, Zac's first camera buck. Able to harvest a beautiful deer myself, and moving forward, this farm's going to produce some beautiful animals, and look forward to being out there come next fall and get back after them.